My name is Dr. Roper. If anyone who doesn't know who I am, I'm the director of the Writing Center. And I want to put in a plug for what we do here, by the way, because our tutors and grad assistants actually are here to assist you through the writing process. So at any stage of this game that you find yourself stuck, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to help you with. And in particular, we can do the most help when you're early in that process, when you're starting, right? We can help you the most at that point. Yes, we can also help you towards the end, and we can tweak it and check your grammar and punctuation. But that's just a small portion of what we do. So I really want to encourage you to use us to the fullest extent and come early so we can really help you from the very beginning. And then you'll get the full benefit of what we have to offer. So I have titled my presentation today, The Writing Process, Think, Pray, Write. So no, I am not going to preach to you, and no, I'm not suggesting that you need to have a relationship with a higher power in order to do the writing process. The way that I came up with this title actually was, for some reason, I was thinking about this book, Eat, Pray, Love. Have any of you heard of this book? It was actually turned into a movie. It sold over 2 million copies. But the title, Eat, Pray, Love, is kind of cool. I thought I was going to play off of that title. But basically, what she suggests, Elizabeth Gilbert, in this book, is that if you're willing to give up everything that you know and go on an adventure, and then treat every person you meet as a clue to your future, then the truth will be yours. And I really sort of equate this to your attitude coming into the writing process. If you approach it giving up everything that you know, or maybe think, but also open to whatever you might gain or learn through this process, you might actually open yourself up to something new. So I consider writing to be an act of surrender. You have to approach the task with an attitude of openness and expectation. You need to set aside preconceived ideas or negative perspectives, because I'm going to talk a lot about the role of thinking in writing. And so your attitude up front is going to make a big difference. And I'm going to encourage you not to begin by saying this. Have any of you ever said this? I'm no good at this. I'm not a good writer. Anybody ever said that? Nobody wants to admit it. Okay, one person admits it. All right, good. Well, those of you who haven't said this, wonderful. You're already on to this part. Being a good writer is not about nailing it the first time. It's about not giving up until a piece is polished to perfection. The key is it's not nailing it the first time. There's no requirement to write a perfect paper first time you sit down to write it. And sometimes we get frustrated early in the process because it's not coming together, right? You can't think of what we want to say. It's not, it's not gelling. The words are not coming. And that's when we say to ourselves, I'm not good at this. But the reality is, even really good writers are not good at it right off the top. I've heard published authors say that every book that they come to it as if it's a new experience. Maybe they've written 10 books before, but they've never written this book. So it's a new experience every single time. And you're not going to get it perfectly at the very beginning. Another thing to keep in mind, some of us approach writing, especially when we're in school, as though this is the one and only time I will ever have to do this. I'm just trying to get it over with. I'm just trying to get out of this class. I just got my major is engineering. I won't ever have to write again. Is that true? You don't have to write again, my friend. You might as well surrender to the process. And this is also why it's important to start early, because like you said, you won't get it right the first time, but if you start the day before you want to turn something in, you're not giving yourself a chance to go through that process. You are guaranteeing yourself failure. You will not do your best work if you only give yourself a day. So how do you begin? You give yourself at least 3 days. At least. And hopefully those 3 days are really open, not packed with classes and meetings and a whole bunch of other stuff. Because you really need to give yourself time. Also, I suggest giving yourself a different task for each of those 3 days. That's how you can become overwhelmed when you're trying to do it all in one day, right? That's why doing it the day before is not a good idea. But if you say, I'm going to break up this process into smaller chunks, I'm going to just focus on 1 or 2 things on day 1, and I'll worry about the other things on day 2 and etc., you will actually free yourself up to do better work. Also, let me set you free as well. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about spelling, right? Not on day one. Don't worry about that. Be free. Just write. If you don't take anything away from here, if you don't take away anything else, think about that. Free yourself on the first day of your writing process from editing. Okay, so if you only have 3 days, question is, how should you spend them? Day one, think, pray, write. Pray, I'm being facetious, but really I'm just meditating, reflecting, being really intentional about what it is you want to say about this topic. Day two, think, write, rewrite. Day two, you're going to look back at what you did, what you wrote on day one, and build on that, right? And then day three, you will think, revise, edit, print, and rejoice. If you've given yourself only 3 days, and you're going to turn that thing in regardless. What do you notice that is consistent on each of those 3 days? What will you do each and every one of those days? For sure, there's one thing you will do every day. Think. And I put it first for a reason. So I'm surprised by how many writers come in here, hand me a paper they have written, and when I start to ask them questions about it, they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, did you write this? Is this not yours? But the reality is we think of writing as some external process that some person outside of me has given, a task they've given me to do, and I'm just going to go through the motions of doing it without much thought. But I would like you to shift and actually think, not just about, I got to get this done, I got to turn in for this class, but what is it that I'm wanting to say? What is it that I actually think about this topic, and how can I express that in this piece? Some of us are so worried about how many pages how can I get 5 pages, that you actually hinder the process of getting those 5 pages. And you completely set aside the thinking about the topic, which would get you to the 5 pages, probably even more. So the very most important aspect of writing is thinking. The two are interconnected. You think and you write. You write and you think. The two go together. You will find a lot of times that by writing, your thoughts become clear to you, in fact. So through the process of writing, you are also able to think. There we go. Okay. Also, I encourage you to space out your work. Don't try to do it all in one sitting. Even if you have multiple things that you've got to get done today, give yourself some time between each of those tasks. Because the reality is you need to process and you need to think through what it is you're doing. In order to do that, you got to give yourself some time. So free yourself. Again, don't, especially if you know yourself. If you know that you're not going to be able to stick to a task for 4 hours straight, don't set yourself up for 4 hours worth of work at a time, right? Give yourself 30 minutes or an hour at a time, and then take a break. Sometimes taking a walk, talking to a friend, doing something else will allow your mind to reflect on what you were working on. And then when you come back to it, you'll have a fresh perspective and probably have more to say. If you have more than 3 days, and the reality is, if you are writing something more extensive, such as a research paper, you really do need to give yourself more than 3 days. Your think, pray, write part of the process could take anywhere from 1 to 3 days, right? Honestly, you really could kind of just explore. We're going to look at how to do that, explore your topic over a period of time. And the more time you spend thinking about it, the deeper your thoughts will be on that topic. Days 3 through 5 might be where you think, write, and rewrite. Particularly if you're doing research, this would be the stage at which you are reading and taking notes on the things that you find. And then days 5 through 7 would be where you're thinking through what you've already written, and you're reworking it and making it the way it needs to ultimately look. And then on day 8, the ideal process would be to reserve all editing for 1 day, separate from all the writing that you've done. This is sort of the ideal. If you had a full week or 10 days to work on an assignment, just save all of your editing work for the last day of that process. Once you don't even have to think about it before then. Then on the last day, your point is already solid, supporting details are already there, you kind of rethought and look back over sort of what it is that you're saying and all of the developing points that you want to have. At that point, you're just kind of looking to see if you have any spelling or grammar issues and fixing those and making sure it's formatted correctly. So let's go through each day of this process a little more in depth. First of all, what is your topic? How many of you have a topic right now that you are working on for class? Anyone been given a writing assignment? Okay. Think about your topic. I see you. What is the requirement for this assignment? Now, the reality is we're in school, so you have to think about what the teacher's expectations are for your discussion of this topic, because that will guide a lot of the thinking and writing and rewriting that you do. I'm always amazed at the students who come in and tell me, oh, my teacher didn't tell me anything. And then I ask about the assignment, and they kind of pull out this wrinkled, crumpled up paper from their book bag and hand it to me, and I'm like, oh, the teacher says you need to do this, and she gave you these sources, and then she said to write it from this perspective, and she wants you to do an argument paper, and they're like, oh. So guys, pull up the Blackboard information, go back to the assignment sheet, make sure you're clear on what the expectations are for this assignment so that you can know how to proceed. And make sure that the teacher has told you, because I have a feeling he or she probably has, and you may have missed it. Now ask yourself, what do you already know? Maybe you've talked about it in class. Maybe you've watched a movie on it. Maybe you've had some previous assignments on this topic. Maybe the teacher has provided you with, the professor has provided you with information, or you know because of your own experience. You want to explore all of those things about the topic that you possess before looking at anything else. Before reading an article, before doing any research, before Googling anything, think about what you already know and what opinions you have. Now, here's where the thinking comes in, because we like to stop at our opinion. Oh, this is what I think. Now I want you to ask yourself, why do I think that? That's usually where people are like, huh? You know. But don't stop, don't let yourself off the hook. That's not an appropriate answer. There's a reason you have every opinion that you hold. And it's up to you to determine where that comes from. Is it based on things you've seen, things you've heard, what your mama told you, what you read somewhere? Now don't go find the book that you read it in. Just ask yourself, before I look anywhere, what do I already think or believe about this subject? Write all of this down. All these questions I'm asking you to jot down in some way or another on day one. And question yourself about your own thoughts and opinions. So there's a few ways that you might do this exploration. Free writing, listing or clustering, speaking into a recorder, voice recorder. Some of us are not really, we all have different ways of processing information. And what works for me may not work for you. I know people who can much more easily express what they're thinking if they say it, speak it out. So record your thoughts. If it's weird to do that around people, do it in the car or make sure you're somewhere where there's no one around. But just talk it out and record what you say. The great thing about talking too is that you can say more words than you can write in the same span of time. So by getting those words into the recording, you can listen to it later and just transcribe what you said. Right? And that gives you a lot more words on the page. Talking to people, having a conversation with your roommate, your parent, your best friend. What do you think about this? Oh yeah, I never thought of that. I've had more enlightening moments just from conversations that helped me to actually think more deeply about what I believe. So strike up a conversation with someone about your topic and see what other people think and how it compares to what you have thought. Other ways to generate ideas is using the journalist method of questioning. Who, what, when, where, why. Answer those questions about your topic. Using the 5 senses. How's it look? How's it taste? How's it touch? How's it smell? If it's something that you can use 5 senses to explore. All of these are your day one. Remember, we're eat, pray, write. Just exploring, reflecting. You're free to kind of just do whatever you want around this topic because you've got time. So I would like for you to do this now. You raised your hand and said that you have, most of you have something that you're working on. So let's give everybody a sheet of paper, and there should be pens or pencils nearby you can grab. And I want you to just think about the topic and see if you can answer some of those questions that I just suggested that you answer. When you think about it, when you know about it, where does that knowledge come from? What have you observed or experienced around this topic? Just write whatever comes to you on the sheet of paper that's coming around. If I need something to write with. Oh, there's some pieces there too. It's been there, I think, since yesterday. Y'all need to see the previous screen, the questions. At this point, you could just write it in any form, a list, or sentences, phrases. These are the questions that you want to try to answer about your topic. I was going to say there's chairs. How did you get to the oh, yeah. Okay, so as you're thinking through, Dominique is going to share with you another way that you can generate or sort of flesh out what you're thinking on a topic. Some of you, like me, might be visual learners and need to kind of see a visual image of the ideas that we have about something. And so the clustering or mapping method may be a way to do that.
So like you said, it's basically the same thing you would do when you just list your ideas. But like she said, some people have to visually see it. So this is one of those strategies that you do the same thing, but you just do it visually. So I chose the topic, and you can do this in any fashion that you choose, but this is the way I like to do it. So I do like a circle or something, and my topic is
I thought I could. There is a way to, yeah.
oh, okay, oh, yeah. I try to use it. So I put this in a circle because this is my topic, this is the main thing. So for the duration of my paper, this isn't like my final thesis, but I know that that's what I want to talk about. Human activities that influence climate change. So then I asked myself, well, what are those human activities? So I'm going to draw me a line and I'm going to do another circle. And let's just say one of those is pollution. And I'm sorry, my handwriting. And then I might have deforestation. And this, how many points you have, that depends on what all you want to talk about. And then I would have other topics also. So then I would sort of branch these out. So instead of just making one long list of all of these things, I can visually see it and it helps me organize. So I know that one of the points that I'm going to use to explain how human activities influence climate change is pollution. What types of pollution we have? Air pollution, water pollution. I don't know all the times people throw trash on the ground. Trash. Littering. Yeah, littering. That's what it's called. So those are our types of pollution. And then when I have deforestation,
Tree dropping?
so tree
Oh, lumberjack.
logging. Yeah, logging. They put them in that big old tree. So this would be one of the things. And then probably other stuff, but I would need to think more. But this is what clustering and word mapping is. So we're organizing our ideas. So I know for a fact that one of the human activities that influence climate change is pollution, but it's a little bit more to pollution than just pollution. There are other things that go along with it. So this is where I break down those things and show the relationship. So all of these have to do with my main topic.
And the reality is, she started with a phrase, but you could also do just words. Like she could have just put climate change. And then you could just sort of like everything that comes to my mind on the topic of climate change. And then each of those could be a different word that comes to you just off the top of your head on that particular topic. So there's that, it's the mapping. It's like when I say dog, what comes to your mind? Well, everybody's gonna have different things that come to their mind, right? And so just whatever comes to you with that trigger of whatever word it is, whatever the central topic is, that's what you just kind of map. And then after you know, what's the word, what comes to your mind when you think dog?
Leash.
Leash. Okay, so if you put leash over here, then go from there. What else do you think about when you think of a leash? There's, confinement, constriction, control. So you might put different things like that. And then any one of those words, you might be like, ooh, I can say a lot about control. You may end up writing a paper on domestic violence. You know what I mean? But you just start somewhere and see where it leads you. Yeah. Any one of these, you may end up writing your whole paper on maybe just this aspect. It's not to say that you're confined to whatever you started with. You see where it leads you and go from there. Particularly when if you're not required to write on this, of course, and you're limited. But if you have the freedom to kind of figure out what you want to say, then go with whatever you feel like you can say the most about, right?
Right. So if I did this brainstorm map and I said, well, Dominique, now that I think of it, I don't want to just do human activities. I just want to I want to talk about pollution. I don't know as much about deforestation psychology, or I don't find it interesting. I just think I want to focus on these. Well, then now this becomes my center, and I'm going to do more brainstorming. But because I laid it out, I can visually see that.
Right. And this is before you do a Google search. Before you do a Google search, before you read anything, this is all just sort of taking an inventory of what you already think and you already know. Because this is what you're then going to build on from here. Even if you have to do a research paper, you still begin here. Good stuff. Question. Anybody get some things written down? I hope so. We're going to come back to it. So still be thinking about your topic. Thank you. As we go. So let's move on. All right. So once you have fleshed out what it is that you are thinking on a particular topic, day 2 will go one of 2 ways, or day whatever those are that you've given yourself time for. If you're writing a research paper, day 2 should be spent reading and taking notes on what you read. Now is the time, after you've done your mapping exercise or your listing or your brainstorming, now is the time to go out there and see what else has been said. As I said, if you have a longer research paper, you should give yourself more like 3, 4, 5 days, days 3 through 5 more so, to work through the research, because depending on how many sources you're required to have, you're going to need to give yourself some time to go through those. The use of sources is not just skimming and pulling phrases that sound good. It's about thinking. Remember, we're still thinking through the topic. And so as you read whatever sources you find, now your teacher may have even provided you with sources. Check to see. I was working with a student the other day and he had done all this research, and the professor had given him like 3 or 4 sources that she wanted him to use. And he was like, I was like, she was trying to help you out. So see what sources you have access to or that have been provided for you. And the question that you're going to ask yourself as you read is, how does this information compare to what I already know? Or maybe what I thought, right? Compare to what you already think. So you're not going blindly into the research process. You are going into it with some knowledge already. You have a recognition of what you already have on that subject. And now everything you read, you're holding up against that standard of what I already think. Of course, the reality is there are people that you are going to be reading who have greater experience and knowledge and expertise in that field, but it's still valuable to compare that to what you already think. And you can talk about that in your writing, right? Although many believe X, Y, and Z, and maybe you were one of those many, studies show something else, right? That's where you're able to sort of make those connections between what you knew, maybe it was confirmed by things that you read. As and I don't know if you use the first person, but in certain fields you are able to say, as I have determined according to my experiences, blah, 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 and the research shows that this is true, or this has been true for others, right? Or it may completely debunk whatever it was you thought. And so then you can kind of think through, well, how does this information sort of change my thinking on the topic? And why is that important? Why does it matter? And ultimately, you will probably find things that enrich your understanding of the topic, that add to your knowledge, maybe even give you things to think about that you hadn't before. All of these things you want to write down as you're reading. How does this enrich, confirm, or refute something that I already thought I knew? And that's where you will, that's a separate workshop, but identify the portions you want to quote, paraphrase, or summarize from those sources. And just a little side note, whatever notes you take from the reading, let that be what you use incorporate into your writing. That's how you can avoid plagiarizing. Because once you've absorbed it for yourself and put it in your own knowledge and understanding in your own way, then you will better be able to integrate it into the final paper. Of course, making sure you keep track of those sources, that source information. All right, so if you're not doing research, or once you've read and taken notes on your reading, you're going to think about what you have written and how it can be structured. One of the most difficult things for any writer to face is a blank page, right? I've had many students come in here and be like, but what I've just given you is a page or more worth of stuff to work with. If you do what I suggested on the first couple of days, guess what? You won't have a blank page. And each day you look back at what you wrote the day before in your notes and your scribbles and your mapping, and you reflect on that and you build on that for the next stage. And you're already halfway there. Add to what you wrote. Can you say more? Begin organizing what you've written. Some of that mapping will help you to figure out what should come first, second, or third. And we're going to talk about how to say more. I've had more students tell me, said it already. And I got to figure out how to get 5 pages more than what I already said in 2 sentences. But the reality is there is a way to say more. This is also a good opportunity, this point at which you may begin to do the outlining phase, kind of putting things in a particular order that the overall paper will follow, or a reverse outline. If you have a whole bunch of stuff that you've written and you need to kind of go back through it and kind of put it in some sort of order that makes sense. So when we talk about outlining, there are various ways to do outlining. In the early drafting portion of your outlining, you may just create sort of a list of what is my purpose, what is it I'm trying to do here? Am I making an argument? Am I trying to persuade? Am I informing? What format do I need to follow? Is it, does it need to be APA? Then I need to look at the APA format and make sure I know how I'm going to fill in each of those sections, right? These are the things you want to kind of map out, maybe. Now that you have some stuff that you've written, now that you have some idea of what you want to say, now you can kind of create a form to put that in. This is the planning stage. What are your major points and what are the details and examples that you want to put with those main points that you have? So, fill in your outline. Come up with a thesis statement or a working thesis. Your thesis is not final until you're about to print that thing off and send it out, right? So don't be afraid to change the thesis if you find yourself in the writing going a different direction. You may need to go back and tweak that. So begin with a working thesis. You have an idea where you're going to go with this paper, but you won't really know until you get to the end. So start somewhere with some statement that you think captures what you want to say, and then think about how would I start this? What ways can I set up this discussion of this particular topic or this point that I'm trying to make? What information will my reader need to know in order to even begin to follow my train of thought on this subject? These are things that you're asking yourself and maybe creating an outline to try to fill in that information. Or at least it will give you an idea of what you maybe need to go back and think about or read about in order to be able to plug in those things. And what information will I use to support my main point? There should be details, there should be examples. Perhaps if you're doing a research paper, this is where the research will come in as a way to support what it is that you are saying. So let's practice saying more. We're going to develop. This is a tool that will maybe help you to develop what it is that you want to say. Either of you have an example you can share? SEI. So this is a method that comes out of critical thinking. That is, it's called the CI method. And what each of, Ariana's going to share with us what each of these letters stand for and how it can help us to say more. Okay. So the first S is for state. So any statement that you want to make. So write a statement or look at a statement that maybe you've already written on your paper. And then the other E is for elaborate. What can you say more about that statement? So elaborate is just, well, she's going to give you an example. I'm not going to try to do it off the cuff. But you make your statement, let's say it's one sentence, and then your next sentence is sort of explaining what you mean by that first sentence. So you may take a couple of sentences to sort of elaborate on that. The second E is exemplify. This just means give an example. And then the I stands for illustrate, which is where you get creative and you make a comparison between this thing and something else. Keep in mind that each of these steps is meant to make this statement more clear. So as you elaborate and simplify, illustrate, don't go off on tangents, or if you find yourself going off on a tangent, pay attention to that and, that might be useful. I'm not saying it's not good to go off, but sometimes it means that's where your thinking is. But ultimately, the goal is to make sure that you have elaborated and given an example of the initial my other most capable assistant is going to give you an example. Or, can you? Or long? Okay.
So if I was working with some research, so I would like begin to like go off with the author's saying. So my statement was, I agree with the author's claim that writing is a process. Right. Then to elaborate, I said that it's important to take time to plan out a paper to cover each topic and that is aligned with the assignment. For my example, so for example, using an outline template or a research paper can help organize your thoughts. Then to illustrate, we have the process of writing can relate to the process of getting ready in the morning. You don't put on shoes before you put on your socks.
Okay, so did you all follow that? She made a statement about the writing process that she agrees that, you know, it's important or whatever. I don't know what she said. And then she said she made a follow-up statement that kind of elaborated on what she meant. So in other words, you know, say more on that. Just a sentence or two, maybe. And then if you can give an example, that's an actual instance of whatever the statement was that you made, it really helps to, how many of you have heard someone talking and then they said, for example, and then you were like, oh, okay, I know what you mean. That often helps to really bring it home, right? So think of an example of the statement that you've made, and it will give you more to say, but it'll also make your statement more clear. And then the illustration, that takes a little thinking, a little deeper thinking, but if you can make a comparison between what the statement is that you've made and something else that we are familiar with, that also furthers the point and helps to sort of get at why it matters. So if you found something that you wrote down that you can maybe use as a statement, go ahead and practice for a minute, seeing how you can elaborate on that. See if you can give us an example of it. And then if you're really creative, let's see if you can come up with a great comparison. What is this like? Something that is similar to this thing that you have just made a statement about. The great thing about this method is that you can use it over and over again throughout your paper. You can, as you look back at the notes you've taken and things you've written on each day of your process, pay attention to the points where you make a statement, and then you make another statement, and you make another statement. Because we're good at just sort of lining up a whole bunch of things without really delving deeper into any one of those. So go back and see any declaration of any truth or of matter of importance that you wrote down at any point. See how you might be able to elaborate on that, say more about that, give an example of that. And that is a way to develop the point and give you more to say on it. Anyone brave enough to share what they've started? Everyone's busy writing, so I don't know what to do. No judgment. No wrong answers. No boundaries.
Okay. So sticking with my climate change thing. So my statement is humans are the main contributors to global warming. So to elaborate on that, I said, while the Earth has naturally occurring processes that fuel climate change, humans speed up the process. And I have not. So I was going to use an example of, for example, naturally occurring processes would be like volcanoes, plate tectonic plates in the Earth's core moving and stuff like that. That's stuff we can't control. It's going to contribute to climate change. But us throwing plastic into the ocean, that's an example of how we're speeding up the process. So yeah, it's going to do it on its own, but we have like all these trucks and cars and stuff like that. We got all these factories. We throwing plastic in the ocean. We're doing all these things that speed up. That's my example. I did not.
But you had multiple examples. So even if you don't get to the illustration, if you at least get an example, I feel like you're good. Like that may be all you need, especially if you have multiple examples. You've already been able to sort of elaborate on what you said initially, give an example of that, and then give another example and compare examples. So this part, I always say illustration is bonus. You know, you can make a nice comparison. But at the very least, you do need to give like a tangible example that a reader would be able to, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And I want to add that when I'm working with clients and things, I always tell people this is for your reader. So you want to keep your reader in mind. The whole point is that they need to be able to understand what you say. So if I make the statement that humans are the main contributors to climate change, I need to explain that in a way that whoever is reading it can understand. So the example is for them so that they can visually see it. Like you said, have that, oh, okay, now I see what you're talking about, kind of moment. That's what that's for. So I always say this, keep your reader in mind.
And about the reader, I'm glad you mentioned that. We often just say, only think about the actual reader, which is our teacher, right? And we're like, oh, he or she knows this already. Don't write like that. Yes, your teacher knows already, but write as though you were speaking to someone who doesn't know. Because that is what the teacher is going to look for, is your ability to explain it to someone who is not in this field, or who is not in this class necessarily. So yeah, that will help you to say more too. Sometimes we go, oh, I need to say that. She already knows. Okay, so when we talk about drafts, what do you think about when I say, you know, first draft, second draft, whatever? What does that mean to you? Does that mean anything to you as writers? Or you like, draft is a word my teacher uses? Yeah, you have a.
It's like your first copy, but you're gonna make it better over time.
Okay, yes. So let's just be clear about what we mean when we speak of drafts. A draft initially is just anything you write down. All the stuff we've done up to this point, the mapping, the listing, the free writing, all of that counts as a draft. And then anything you do to it, and so like I said, anything you put down, regardless of its form, each time you add or delete what you've written, you're creating a new draft. Anytime what you initially wrote changes in some way, you put stuff out, you put stuff in, you reformatted it in some way, you kept building on what you said before, you're doing an additional draft, right? So each day of this process that I'm explaining to you, you're creating drafts of the final piece, right? So a draft is not some magical thing that you produce and print out and share with someone. It's everything that you add to the initial writing moment counts as a new draft because you've changed it in some way. Yeah, okay. Okay, I can see the wheels turning. So what the final draft then, the final draft is when you've moved from revision to editing. What is the difference between revision and editing? Revision, is it the same thing? Do you all see revision and editing as the same? Interchangeable?
I used to, I'm not gonna lie, I just found out this year that they not.
Mercy. Oh, and she's one of our top tutors, ladies and gentlemen. We're all learning. It's very important to distinguish between revision and editing. Revision is exactly what it sounds like, looking again. And at the very beginning of this process, we are looking sort of from here, the aerial view, and working our way down. What is the main point that I am making in this paper? When we revise, we are looking at how I am making that main point. In what ways am I supporting that main point? What ways am I developing that main point? That has nothing to do with grammar and punctuation. It has to do with the content of the document that I'm creating and how well I am deliberating, developing, and elaborating on that main thing that I'm trying to do. It's about changing the overall idea or tweaking the overall idea. Am I making myself clear? Have I said everything I can say on this topic, on this subject? Have I organized it in the best way to make it clear, to support that point? Have I provided enough information to make it strong? As I look at the paragraphs, if I'm to the point where I actually have paragraph breaks, what am I saying in each paragraph, and how does that relate to that main point? We're still kind of up, at the higher level of this process as a way to determine or solidify what we're doing. And that might mean adding or deleting pages, paragraphs, words. It's all of that is part of the revision process as a way to accomplish the main thing. That's the most important thing about revision. Proofreading and editing is where you come down from the aerial view all the way to the local view, and that's on the last day of the process, pretty much, the last couple of days, where you've made your point clear. You've developed it, you've talked the heck out of it, you've done your SEEI over and over again, and now you're about ready to just clean it up and send it off. This is at the point, this and only this is the point where you do the editing process, where you're actually looking at whether you have fragments or run-ons, whether you have a subject-verb agreement problem, whether or not your spelling is okay, right? This is the point where you have to do those kinds of things. I freed you from it on day 1, but by 3, day 7, day 8, when you're about to turn it in, that's when you just gotta, you know what, it is what it is. I'm gonna go with what I've got. Now let me clean it up as best I can and make sure that I've dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's.
Was it you that said that it's like a funnel? So it's like you have the big stuff, the revision, like making sure it's organized, making sure the piece is strong here. That's the top part of the funnel. And then you come down to like the smaller stuff like spelling, grammar.
Yep. You don't need to deal with spelling and grammar if you don't have any idea what you're saying. That's not going to help. Particular sentences and words and phrases are going to probably go away. You end up changing what you said, and you spend all that time trying to see if you got your semicolon right, and you don't even need that sentence anymore because it has nothing to do with the main point, right? So free yourself. Get the main point first, and then take care of those little things later. And then after you have finished, because at some point you just have to stop, and there may be, you may feel like, oh, I still need more time or whatever. At some point you have a deadline, or you just got to end it. But please consider doing that reflection and review of your final draft before going ahead and turning it in, and step back from what you wrote, right? And think about what you have said. Have you made your purpose clear? The direction, is there is the appropriate structure? Have you used the appropriate structure, or is your organization logical? What about the ideas? Have you made those connections to the reader to make sure that what you've said is providing them with clarity? And you've given those specific examples and details. What about your word choice and sentence variety? And, you know, is there any way that you can maybe say things better to make the style more pleasing? And then, as I said before, that's where you kind of go back through and make sure that your little errors are taken care of. And you'd be surprised how many things you can catch on your own just by reading it out loud to yourself. Taking a moment to just kind of read it back to yourself and see if it's flowing the way you want it to. So it's all really about giving yourself the latitude, the space, and the time to do all of this. The luxury of time. With some of these last stages that you will typically, you know, be rushing through because you didn't give yourself enough time. But as best as possible, your life happens. Try to give yourself that time, because then this process will not be as painful, and you will not have all those negative feelings about it as perhaps you do now. But I believe that you have positive attitudes already. I'm going to just speak that into existence. So my message to you is, you've got this. You can do this. Whatever attitude you may have coming to this process, I hope that today the information has given you a way to approach it. As I said before, we are here to help you along every step of this process. So if you need us to just bounce ideas off of, you want to brainstorm, you want us to help you work through how best to organize or map your ideas, that's what we're here to do. So don't feel as though you have to do the process alone. A lot of the work of writing, as I said, is thinking, but it's also, there's also a benefit to bouncing your thought off of the thoughts that others have. And you can add to your knowledge through that practice as well. And I'm a big fan of dialogue.